All right, guys, Kenny Smith. So, next thing we're going to talk about is the 7.7 by 56 millimeter rimmed, the 303 Brit. Now, this round is extremely common throughout the world, and yet it's a first generation black powder cartridge. It's been around doing its thing. It was really designed as a stopgap, but it's been around doing its thing since 1889. And I've still got friends in the military, and there were people coming back from Afghanistan recently that still noted old Lee Enfields and 7.7 Brit being in use by certain elements. So it's absolutely militarily significant. And there was a whole lot of evolution with the 303 Brit over the years. I mean, obviously, it's like it went through a lot, and it stayed in service for a very long time. And different marks of it, but nonetheless, it stayed in service from just before the turn of the 20th century until the adoption of the L1A1 FAL. So, I mean, it stayed in British military service for a very, very long time. It actually doesn't use a 7.7 millimeter bullet. Okay, it uses the land diameter in the rifling is, which is kind of how the Brits do things, but the actual bullet diameter is going to be 7.92. So it's or 0.312 inches. So it's a little bit bigger round than the American 30-06 and 308. So you're not going to find too much military loading because it went through so many marks. But in its current civilian guises, you're looking at 150 to 180 grain bullets, somewhere between 2,500-ish and 2,770. Now, the 303 Brit is quite effective. There were a bunch of them in Afghanistan, especially in the early days. The Russians learned to hate the 303 Brits in the 80s, and our troops got harassed by them at every opportunity as well. So there's something to be said about a cartridge that's been in service that long. And one thing that I think really led to the 303 Brits allure wasn't so much the cartridge, but the rifles and the riflemen associated. The Lee Enfields, the number one and number 4 Lee Enfields, are some of the slickest cycling bolt-action rifles ever produced. And the fact they had a 10-round magazine and a day of 5-round magazine, even then 1 Garand only held 8. So I think that the extra couple of rounds kind of gave it a thing. But the British military did what they called a Mad Minute, and I forget the exact standards, but look that up on YouTube, the British Mad Minute. And some of the stuff that were done with those rifles, I mean, just speaks well both to the men, the rifles, and the cartridge itself. So you can't really talk about rifle cartridges without mentioning 303 Brits. It's been around a long time.